Listen, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to magically see the real you. If you can't even see it yourself, you keep wondering why people treat you like you're replaceable. You keep complaining about fake friends, bad relationships, and people who don't value you. But here's the truth, and it's going to sting. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you walk around with no confidence, apologizing for existing and settling for scraps, don't be surprised when life hands you scraps. You're basically telling the world, I don't think I'm worth much, so you don't have to think so either. Self-worth isn't some spiritual slogan on a vision board. It's the way you show up every single day. It's the way you keep your word to yourself. It's the way you say no to garbage that doesn't belong in your life, even when it's tempting, even when it's comfortable, even when it's all you've ever known. You want love, you want respect, you want loyalty. Start with you. Start with loving yourself enough to put in the work. Love yourself enough to stop making excuses. Love yourself enough to stop tolerating situations that make you hate your life. Because here's the brutal truth, if you can't look in the mirror and respect the person looking back at you, nobody else is going to. You set the tone, you decide the standard, and if you keep your standard low, don't expect high quality people to stick around. So stop chasing validation, stop begging for attention, build yourself into someone you're proud of in your health, your habits, your discipline, your values. When you respect yourself, you radiate it. And that's when the right people, the real people, will show up and treat you how you deserve, not because they're better, not because they're different, but because you finally showed them how to treat you by treating yourself like you matter. People follow your lead. How you treat yourself sets the example for how others will treat you. If you constantly downplay your abilities, make excuses for your mistakes, and accept less than you deserve, you're telling the world exactly how much or how little you value yourself. It's not about being arrogant. It's about having a baseline of respect for who you are, what you stand for, and what you're willing to accept. When you walk into a room with your head down, shoulders slouched, and voice barely above a whisper, people read that energy. They assume you're okay with being overlooked. They assume you're comfortable being ignored. On the other hand, when you walk in with presence, when you've put in the work on yourself, when you're confident without being loud, when you hold eye contact and speak with conviction, people notice. They take you more seriously. They think twice before crossing your boundaries. Why? Because you've already set the tone for how you expect to be treated. Think about it. If you don't respect your own time, why would anyone else? If you cancel on yourself every time you say you're going to hit the gym, read that book, or work on that project, what message are you sending? You're showing that your word, even to yourself, doesn't mean much. And when your word to yourself means nothing, don't expect others to treat it any differently. You've got to become the kind of person who backs up their promises, especially the ones nobody sees. When you commit to doing something for yourself, you follow through. When you say you're done tolerating toxic people, you mean it. When you decide your time has value, you protect it like it's your most precious resource. That's when people start treating you differently, not because they suddenly changed, but because you changed the rules of the game. They can only play by the standards you set. Lower your standards and they'll sink with you. Raise them and the wrong people will fade away while the right ones step up. You can't fake this. You can't just tell people to respect you while you treat yourself like garbage. It has to be real. It has to show in your habits, your discipline, your boundaries, and your choices every single day. People don't just hear what you say. They watch what you do. They study how you carry yourself. They notice how you respond to disrespect. They see whether you value your own time, energy, and attention, and they respond accordingly. Low self-worth attracts low-quality relationships. You get what you tolerate. If deep down you believe you're not worth much, You'll settle for anyone who gives you a little attention, no matter how they treat you. You'll overlook red flags because you're afraid you won't find better. You'll make excuses for bad behavior because you think that's the best you can get. You'll cling to people who drain you because the idea of being alone feels worse than being mistreated. And over time, you start convincing yourself that this is normal, that this is just how people are, but it's not. It's a reflection of what you believe you deserve. When you don't respect yourself, you'll accept disrespect as if it's part of the deal. When you don't value yourself, you'll let people walk all over you and then call it love or loyalty. The truth is, the quality of the people in your life mirrors the quality of your standards. If you have no boundaries, you'll attract people who take advantage of that. If you constantly give without receiving, you'll attract people who only know how to take. If you tolerate lies, you'll attract liars. It's not a coincidence. It's cause and effect. Your relationships are a direct reflection of what you believe about yourself. Raise your self-worth, and you change the type of people who even have access to you. Suddenly, the ones who used to take advantage won't stick around because they can't meet your new standard. They'll leave, not because you pushed them out, but because they no longer fit. And in their place, better people show up. People who respect your time, people who keep their word, people who see your value because you've made it clear. But here's the catch: you can't fake self-worth. You can't just say, "I deserve better," while you still allow worse. You can't post quotes about self-love while staying in situations that destroy your peace. You have to live it. You have to prove it to yourself first, before anyone else believes it. That means walking away when you're being disrespected, even if it's uncomfortable. It means saying no without feeling guilty. It means choosing to be alone rather than surrounded by people who don't truly care for you. When you stop tolerating garbage, garbage stops showing up. When you stop accepting crumbs, you start attracting people who bring the whole meal. Because the truth is, you'll never rise above the relationships you settle for. Self-love is action, not affirmation. It's not just saying, "I love myself" in the mirror. It's not repeating a list of positive quotes and hoping your life changes. It's about what you do when nobody's watching. It's about the choices you make when it's hard. It's about keeping promises to yourself even when it's inconvenient. If you say you're going to wake up early and work on your goals, you do it. If you say you're going to stop letting toxic people in, you mean it. If you say you're going to take care of your health, you actually follow through, because self-love without action is just empty talk. You can't trick yourself into respect. You have to earn it through consistency. When you keep promises to yourself, you build trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, you walk differently, you speak differently, you carry yourself differently, you stop tolerating things that once kept you stuck because you know you deserve better. But that also means setting boundaries, real boundaries, not the kind you announce on social media and then ignore in real life. Boundaries you enforce even when it's uncomfortable. Boundaries that protect your time, your energy, and your peace. You don't have to explain them to everyone. You don't need permission to have them. You simply make it clear through your actions where the line is, and you don't let anyone cross it. Self-love is saying no when you need to, without feeling like you owe someone an apology. It's walking away from situations that drain you, even if you've been in them for years. It's removing yourself from people who constantly disrespect you, even if they call you selfish, because protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's recognizing that your time is limited, your energy is valuable, and your peace is priceless. The more you honor those truths, the more your life changes. You stop chasing people who don't appreciate you. You stop overgiving to people who never give back. You stop putting yourself last just to make others comfortable. And little by little, you build a version of yourself that you're proud of, not because of what you say in the mirror, but because of how you show up in your life, Because real self-love isn't loud, it's disciplined. It's the quiet, daily commitment to treat yourself like someone worth protecting, worth investing in, and worth believing in. You decide the standard, and you can raise it any time you choose. No one else sets the bar for your life except you. People will treat you the way you allow them to. Opportunities will come based on what you're prepared for. And the quality of your life will always match the standard you demand from yourself and from the world. If your standard is low, you'll accept things that drain you. You'll say yes to work that underpays you. You'll stay in relationships that give you the bare minimum. You'll keep habits that sabotage your own growth. And you'll call it just the way life is. But it's not the way life is. It's the way you've decided it will be. Your standard is the invisible rulebook you carry everywhere. It tells people what's acceptable and what isn't. It tells you what you'll tolerate and what you'll walk away from. And the most powerful thing about it is that you can change it at any moment. You can wake up tomorrow and decide you're no longer settling for less than you deserve. You can decide that from now on you'll demand respect in every interaction. You can decide that you will only surround yourself with people who push you to grow, not pull you down. It doesn't matter if you've accepted less in the past. It doesn't matter if you've been living below your potential for years. The moment you raise your standard, everything changes. The wrong people start to fade away because they can't keep up. The wrong opportunities disappear because they no longer match your vision. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first. You might lose people, you might face rejection, you might even feel alone for a while, but that's the cost of growth. Because the truth is, you can't raise your life without raising your standard. And raising your standard means drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is the new minimum. It means holding yourself accountable to a higher level of effort, discipline, and integrity. It means not just expecting more from others, but expecting more from yourself. You don't get the life you wish for. You get the life you demand through your actions, your boundaries, and your commitment to the standard you set. And the moment you stop accepting less, you start attracting more. Because the world always meets you at the level of your standards, never below them, stop chasing validation. Instead, focus on becoming someone you respect. Too many people waste their lives trying to prove themselves to others. They spend their time chasing likes, attention, and approval as if it's oxygen. They change who they are depending on who they're around. They hide parts of themselves to fit in. They exaggerate their successes and shrink their failures just to look good in someone else's eyes. And in the process, they lose sight of the only opinion that truly matters, the one they have of themselves. Because here's the truth, the applause of others means nothing if you hate the person you are when the lights go out. The validation you're chasing is temporary. The same people who cheer for you today can turn on you tomorrow. The same approval you worked so hard for can be taken away in a second. But self-respect, that stays, and you build it by doing the hard things no one sees. You build it by keeping promises to yourself, by telling the truth even when it's uncomfortable, by standing for what you believe in even if it makes you unpopular. When you focus on becoming someone you respect, you stop bending just to please people. You stop letting their opinions dictate your choices. You stop needing them to tell you you're enough because you already know it. You no longer rely on their applause to feel good about yourself. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You don't need to constantly prove your worth. You just live in a way that aligns with your values, your goals, and your integrity. And the respect you have for yourself becomes your foundation. It's unshakable because it doesn't depend on trends, popularity, or approval. It depends on your discipline, your choices, and your truth. And ironically, when you stop chasing validation and focus on self-respect, That's when the right kind of respect starts coming your way, not the shallow kind, not the fake smiles or surface compliments, but genuine, in respect from people who see you for who you are, not for the mask you wear, because you've shown them something rare. You've shown them someone who values themselves enough to live authentically. You've shown them someone who doesn't need external approval to feel complete. You've shown them someone they can trust because you've already proven you can trust yourself. Discipline builds respect. From yourself first, then from others. It starts with you keeping your own word, doing what you said you would do, even when it's not convenient, even when you don't feel like it. Because every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. And self-trust is the foundation of self-respect. If you can't rely on yourself, you'll always feel weak, you'll always second guess your abilities, you'll always need someone else to push you, motivate you, or hold you accountable. But when you have discipline, you don't wait for motivation. You show up because you said you would. You do the work whether you're inspired or not. You follow through on your commitments because your word means something to you. And when you live that way, you start to look at yourself differently. You walk a little taller. You speak with more conviction. You stop doubting yourself in the moments that matter. That self-respect then spills over into how others see you. People notice when you're disciplined. They see the consistency. They see the results. They see that you're not all talk. And because of that, they start to respect you. Because you've already proven you respect yourself. Discipline is a language everyone understands. It tells the world you're serious. It tells the world you can be relied on. It tells the world you don't fold under pressure, and in a world full of excuses, that makes you stand out. But here's the thing, discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up more often than you don't. It's about pushing through the days you feel like quitting. It's about doing the right thing, especially when it's the hardest thing. And over time, those small acts of discipline add up. They shape your character. They strengthen your confidence. They build a track record of wins that no one can take away from you. That's when the respect from others comes naturally. Not because you demanded it, not because you tried to impress them, but because they can see it in the way you live. They can see that you hold yourself to a higher standard, and when people see that, they know they have to step up if they want to be in your circle. The right people show up when you do. Once you value yourself, you attract relationships that reflect it. When you stop settling for less, the people who gave you less fade away. When you start setting boundaries, the people who cross them disappear. And at first, it might feel like you're losing everything. You might feel alone. You might wonder if raising your standards was a mistake, but it's not. It's the clearing process. It's life making space for the ones who actually belong. Because the truth is, you can't attract high-quality relationships if you're still operating from low self-worth. You can't invite respect if you're still tolerating disrespect. You can't find loyalty if you're still giving trust to people who don't deserve it. It all starts with you showing up differently, showing up with confidence, showing up with discipline, showing up with the kind of energy that says, I know my value. When you do that, the wrong people feel uncomfortable. They can't manipulate you anymore. They can't drain you anymore. They can't get away with the same old patterns, so they leave, and that's a good thing, because their absence makes room for the right people to arrive. The people who respect your boundaries without being told twice. The people who celebrate your wins without feeling threatened. The people who challenge you to grow without trying to control you. These are the relationships that feel light instead of heavy. They add to your life instead of taking from it. They bring peace instead of chaos, but you don't find them by searching desperately. You find them by becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts them. And that happens when you value yourself so much that you refuse to be in spaces, relationships, or situations that drain your worth. When you show the world that you won't settle, the right people recognize you instantly. They see someone who knows who they are. They see someone who doesn't play games. They see someone they can trust, and trust is the foundation of every great connection. So remember, if your life feels full of the wrong people, it's not about chasing better ones. It's about becoming better yourself, because when you do, you won't have to chase anyone. The right people will show up. And when they do, they'll reflect the respect, love, and value you've already built within yourself. So stop waiting for the right people to magically appear. Stop hoping that one day someone will just see your worth and treat you the way you deserve. Start showing up as the version of yourself who already knows their worth. Start living in a way that makes it impossible for the wrong people to stay. And when you do, you'll see that the right people don't just enter your life by chance. They're drawn to the standard you've set, the energy you carry, and the respect you have for yourself. Value yourself first, and everything else will fall into place.